Hey folks. So, I thought I'd do another Ask Me Anything, because I usually have a coaching call at this time for the Leap, but obviously the next class of the Leap is starting at next Monday, so I was like, well, I'm up anyway. I might as well answer some questions. So if you have a question, just post it in the chat, and in the meantime, I'm going to go through some of the hey Shy, I'm going to go through some of the questions that have come through on Discord, and I've just realised I'm really thirsty. It's funny starting so early in the morning every time is that I don't talk. So often what will happen is I don't talk at all until I'm in front of the video, and I always forget to check my voice. So sometimes I'm like, like, Let me just have a look at some of these questions. Hello, Rob. Hello, Luigi. So, Bear Blue in Discord asks, I was really interested to learn that Alberti bass is a thing with a name. I'm conscious of my lack of any musical education and training, and try not to let it hold me back. Hi, Zach. From being creative, but I can't help thinking it'd be useful to be able to identify more common motifs like this when analysing music and splurging. Having half an idea of tried and tested things like this is great when trying out presets and such. I did a quick YouTube search for similar and found a few vids, but generally they were less accessible than your own style, or geared more towards the performing musician, not so much the splurging creator. Okay, so there's a number of different things within this question that I want to sort of highlight. And the first is the belief that knowing about something like that Alberti bass is Alberti bass. I forgot to test. Can you hear that? Hang on a minute. Okay, there we go. Is that coming through? I've got it muted on here. There we go. Seems to be a lot of compression on there. Blimey. Okay, I've got that. Armin, Armin, I'll get that. Yeah. So, for instance, Alberti bass is this. Yeah, it's if you've got a triad being let me see if I can get the right thing up. What's going on? Screens and screens, thousands of screens everywhere. See what? With someone with the attention challenges that I have, I can promise you that live streaming music production stuff is not ideal, because it's like it's 5 million things to focus on all the time, and comments and everything all at once. Hang on a minute. Right, okay. Where are we? There you are, number 3. All right, let's try that. Okay. So, let's get rid of this lead. This is a triad. So that's C major. So you've got it backwards for you. Maybe I'll turn it upside down. Can I do that? Can I turn it upside down so you can see it the right way around for you? Hey, there we go. All right. Oh, no, sorry. There we go. All right, so this. That's a C. Oh, man, I've done it again. Hang on. So that's a C major chord. C, E, and G. And what Alberti bass, it's a movement which goes the bottom note of the triad, the top note of the triad, the middle note of the triad, and the top note of the triad, right? And obviously it works with any chord. Except that that's a first inversion. Don't worry about that though. Anyway, is it a first inversion? It's not a first inversion. It's something else. Anyway, it's actually slightly different. Anyway. So that's F major, and that's G major. And it's that general movement. Now, the question I have for Bear Blue, really, is this. Is it true to say that knowing that that is Alberti bass, yeah, is that essential information? Is that the most important information to know? And let's go back to this. Camera. This one. Is that the most important information that you need to know in order to be able to, and let me just go back to what you actually said. I try not to let it, my lack of musical education and training hold me back from being creative. So is knowing what I've just shown you, is not knowing what I've just shown you holding you back from being creative? Is it? Is it really? Okay, so let me ask you. Does the fact that my 5-year-old does know this now, but before he knew what a noun and a verb was, did that stop him talking? No, of course it didn't. Yeah. Now, it may well be helpful in some way, but I would argue that the most important thing that, I mean, I wouldn't argue, it's true. I don't think I have to argue. And by the way, I'm not saying you're a musical 5-year-old in saying this and making this analogy, okay? But in order for any of us to learn to speak, what we need to do is how we learn to speak is we speak to each other. You know, we exist in a place where people are speaking to each other, our parents, and that's how we pick up language. What often happens is the theory can get in the way of speaking, can become very confusing. Okay, so I think it's a mistake to say that a lack of musical theory training is holding you back from being creative. Yeah, I mean, particularly in this case, we're saying, well, I can't help thinking that knowing that would help me. I'm not sure it would help you in the way that you think it would. I'm not saying it's not in any way valuable. I'm definitely not saying that. So let's not kind of do an either or thing. Mike Monday says you shouldn't learn music theory. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that it may well not be, in fact, I'm pretty convinced it isn't, the most valuable thing that you can focus on right now. Music theory specifically, yeah? It's something that, I mean, if you find it interesting and you're curious about it, then maybe it is the most valuable thing you can focus on right now. I don't know, because I haven't spoken to you. But the important thing to understand it here is when you're kind of making progress, what you want to do is you want to find the highest leverage thing to focus on. And that's what I mean by high leverage is it's some kind of action or area or focus, right, which makes all other decisions easier, quicker, or simpler. From our industrial age education, we have learned that the best way to succeed is maximum effort for maximum results. And actually, the truth of it is what we want to be looking for is minimum effort for maximum results. Yeah, because minimum effort for maximum results means working smart and then hard on smart things, not just hard. Yeah, and I would argue that the belief that kind of musical education and training, because you're defining musical education and training as a particular thing in your question, Bear Blue, yeah, which is this music theory stuff, yeah, that is a particular kind of musical education and training, which I do not think will be the one that will deliver you what you think it will. I say this over and over and over again. I was about to say fortunate. I mean, I am fortunate in many ways to have received that kind of musical education and training, but so much of what I'm doing now is about overcoming that particular musical education training. I mean, yes, of course, it's helped me, and I can't know how it's helped me as well. So I do recognize that. But I know for a fact that you can actually learn what you need to learn without learning that music theory. Yeah? If you were writing classical music for orchestras, it may well be different. I mean, maybe you are, yeah? But if you're making the kind of music that I suspect you're making, theory isn't the first place I would go. Yeah. One thing I may well do is do some... And if you are interested in music theory, the way I would probably learn it, I would probably do ear training. So there's quite a few ear training apps, and they're all kind of much of a not muchness, but let me just mention a few to you. I think this is good for anyone to do, absolutely anyone. Okay, so there's Complete Ear Trainer, that one, yeah. Then there's another one called Perfect Ear, which I hate anything that says word perfect in it. Anyway, and then the third one is Tenuto, that one. Okay, and I mean any of those will do. And I would recommend that if you think that music theory is something it's important, just forget about the music theory and just do that instead, because you do actually learn music theory. But what probably most people could do with a much higher leverage thing, which is related to music theory but not it completely, is some ear training. Okay. So hopefully that's answered your question. So let's get onto some of the questions from the wonderful people on the stream. What is the best direct listening method? Well, I mean, the one, if you've done the Idea Explosion Challenge, probably the first. I mean, I don't think there is a best one. I mean, there's lots of different kind of flavors of it. But the question, the best, what is the best, yeah, I don't think there is a best. There may well be an optimal for a given situation, but this idea of a best, that's kind of very similar to an idea of perfection. Yeah, because obviously if something's perfect, then just think about this. If you had a perfect piece of music, a perfect piece of music, it would have to be a piece of music that everyone agreed was perfect. Right? So in other words, there is no such thing. Yeah, because if it was perfect, literally everyone in the entire universe would have to agree that it was perfect. Yeah. Similarly, if there is such a thing as a best anything, yeah, this is why I get so frustrated with so many people who kind of nail their colours to analog or digital or doorless or not doorless, or or with a door, or Ableton or Logic or this or that or the other. Why I get so frustrated is that there isn't a best, there isn't a perfect. There is only what works for you in a given situation, trying to achieve a certain thing. Again, this is about high leverage. Yeah, so in one moment, one way of direct listening might be more beneficial. In another moment, another way of direct listening might be more beneficial. Okay, so without further information, yeah, what you're actually looking to do, I don't know. I mean, in the Idea Explosion Challenge, I give you one way of doing it. I mean, if you're wondering about it, just do that one. Yeah, which is kind of, it's like the open awareness style of direct listening. Something that I sometimes do, and this is a good way of training your ear as well, okay? And this isn't the best. This is just, it kind of optimizes for a particular thing. If you are, if you struggle to hear the things that people talk about when they're talking about music, if you have that experience, I mean, I have that experience when I'm occasionally watching videos about mastering, and they're like, so they're going like, okay, so this is the thing with it in, and this is the thing with it off. It's such a massive, it makes such a massive difference. And I'm like, I'm actually getting better because I'm doing training. I'm doing ear training around it. And I'm like, I can't, massive difference? Really? Okay. If you say so. So yeah, I have that experience too. But if you kind of if you find it hard to hear, particular things, that other people talk about, then one of the things that I do, and you do want to do it in a direct listening way. So, you want to note it. It's almost like you want to take a particular part in a tune that, a piece of music that you're listening to, probably not your own music, someone else's. You go, all right, I'm going to focus on, as the object of my direct listening, just the hi-hat. Yeah. Or I'm going to, and it's probably best if you focus on something that isn't really like in your face, so the kick, or depending on the kind of music, the bass, yeah, but something that's kind of hidden in there, yeah. And obviously sometimes these things will come out, but then when it comes out, you just notice it not being there, yeah. And when distracting thoughts come in, again, refocus on the hat if it's there, or the non-hat if it's not there, yeah. And do that throughout a piece of music, yeah. And then listen to it again and focus on another part. Yeah. Again, using the kind of direct listening method. Yeah. Now, this isn't a better way of direct listening, and it's not how I would suggest you direct listen to your music when you're, wanting to select a splurge, or wanting to decide what you're going to do in a discovery session, or something like that. But I tell you what, it's really good for is actually training your ear and also training your focus. Yeah, and your concentration. So there isn't a best. It depends what you're doing. Okay. Yeah, but in general, Armin, when you say best, just there isn't a best. There isn't a best in anything. There is only what the optimal thing for what you're actually looking to do now, just in general. Rob, you said you had a breakthrough last live session. This is of Zentor, my live thing yesterday. I had quite a breakthrough on the session. Would you like to share on what it was? Of course, yes. So, it's not. It wasn't It's not something specific. It's more that okay. So when you're practicing something, anything. Practicing anything is a set of skills. Yeah. Even playing scales is a set of skills. It's not one skill. It's a lot of, probably millions in a sense of things that are going into just playing. Played very badly. Yeah. Like that. There's a lot of things that go into that. Yeah. And obviously doing live performances daily on YouTube using this stuff is even more skills, yeah, all in one. And the way I do it is every evening I do a little practice session. I've got about an hour when me and Sally are putting the kids to bed and we share, so kind of in and out of here. But I've got about an hour where I can practice a few things. I can practice the piano, keyboard, and I have specific drills for doing that. And then I usually practice with the backing of the this stuff playing. And then I can also upgrade the way that the actual stuff works. Let's see if I can show you. Where are we? Oh, I'm going to have to do something different. Give me 2 secs. Oh. Output options. There we go. Nearly that. Scenes. Sorry, folks. I'm just figuring out production session demo. There we are. This one. Oh, that's a bit weird, isn't it? That's not right. Entire screen. There we are. Okay. There we go. That'll work. Right. Okay. So this, which is basically the setup in Gig Performer. Yeah. So I can also change this, and then I can also practice what's going on with the machine. So how I've got the patches, how I've got all the things wired up in terms of the Moogs and stuff. So those are three things that I can practice, and then also three individual things that I can practice. But then also I can practice just playing, just playing over the top of this and seeing how it all works. And what happened yesterday on the live stream was that when you're practicing anything, it's like you can actually feel. It's almost okay. Let me another analogy to do with children. I don't know how many people have children, but anyway, what ends up happening with kids? They have these strange sort of periods of time, which are called wonder weeks, where these are little kids, and all of a sudden, so maybe they've been sleeping well for a while and stuff, and all of a sudden they'll just stop sleeping so well, and they'll be waking up loads and loads. This is all the way through, sort of probably up until the age of 3 or 4, okay, and they'll suddenly they'll become really, really restless at night and wake you up loads, even if they've been sleeping a lot. And at that point, what we found, because we've got 4 kids, so we've done this a few times, so we recognise it now. What that usually means is they're about to have some kind of a leap in terms of their ability to do something. So maybe they're about to talk, or they're about to stand up, or they're about to crawl, or they're about to walk. Yeah, these kind of things, or they're about to suddenly understand something about the world, or they're going to change. They're going to suddenly go, boom, and suddenly they're going to start doing something. This is often what's happened with our children, and it's preceded by a restlessness at night. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know whether this is scientifically proven or anything, but we've just noticed that. And I believe what is happening, and again, I'm no scientist, so take this with a pinch of salt. But I believe what's happening is that it's like almost like some kind of. It's almost like there's a. If you imagine again another analogy, if you imagine the sort of map of connections in your mind, in your brain. Yeah, in order to do something, when it's incomplete, yeah, it's like it's like a maze, yeah, where you can't go every way because the connections haven't been made. And all of a sudden, when you do something over and over again, it turns into a kind of more complete map, so you can go all sorts of different directions. And when you practice as much as I have throughout my life in various different ways, you do start to notice these. It's almost like these moments where it's like sort of everything connects, and you just go, boom, oh right, okay, I'm now it's almost like at a different level. It's like I can do this in a way I wasn't able to before. It's like, because a lot of the stuff that is when you first start practicing something, you do it consciously. You have to do it consciously in order to actually create the connections in your brain. You're literally building pathways in your brain whenever you learn anything. Yeah. And then those connections are formed, and then it starts becoming unconscious what you were doing. So then you can start learning something new. Yeah. And yesterday what I experienced was it was almost like everything seemed a lot easier, and I was able to relax into what I was doing and focus on other things. So what I was able to focus on yesterday for the first time was much more the actual music. Right? I mean, I've been focused on the music, but it was almost like I could feel that a lot more of my brain was available for thinking about the melodies and the motifs and how I was going to develop the whole. Yeah, whereas up until yesterday, it always felt like I was having to spend a lot more conscious resources on, what am I going to do? How's this going to work? Oh, what's going on here? It was like, it was more sort of setup based, if you like. There was a lot of, whereas it just felt, I mean, it's not that I've mastered it by any stretch of the imagination, but it just felt a lot easier. So a lot more of my time I was thinking about the shape of the music and the other stuff which was just happening. Yeah, and when you consistently practice something, you will start to notice this Same thing. It's almost like you really, really struggle at first, and then you reach a plateau, and you feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again, and then all of a sudden it'll go boom, yep, and you're like, oh wow, that's me. I can now do something. Things are starting to become unconscious, if you like, and that means I can focus on new things. So that was what happened yesterday. It's almost like I had my own little wonder week, so to speak. So yeah. Tangled Tail says, if I had to recommend only one of those three ear training apps, which would you pick? I don't know. The first one? I don't know. I don't actually know. I can't even remember which is which. I just open one of them and do it. I haven't actually decided. Let me just have a look. Yeah. There really isn't. I mean, it's almost like, I don't know, which petrol station do you prefer? It's like that. There's no. I don't have a particular thing. I just use any of them really, whichever my thumb gets to first. I don't spend too much time thinking about that kind of thing. Again, it's just a tool. I'm very not. I mean, I am focused on the tools when I need to be, but as you probably know, I'm not that focused on which I don't do a sort of. I don't have a spreadsheet of the benefits and drawbacks of each individual app. Scott says, what is the significance of 11 for me? I once wrote a track called the 1111, I mean, there's the war thing. The war ended. The Second World War ended on the 11th. What was it? The 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. There's that. I don't really. There is no specific magical significance to it. One thing I have noticed is really the significance of the 1111 for me is the fact that we think things that are significant that often aren't. That's really what 1111 is about for me. It's reminding myself that if I say 1111 has some kind of special power, I will notice whenever it's 1111. Yeah, and this is what me and Sally, we kind of joke about it. Oh, look, it's 1111. And because we have noticed 1111 as a thing, whenever we see that it's 1111, we think it's a thing. Yeah, because we've noticed 1111. So really, the significance of 1111 for me is the fact that we think that things are significant when often it's just that we're noticing them because we think they're significant. So that it's a little kind of a little joke, and also a way of reminding myself that the human mind and the way that we perceive things is often, the world and the universe is very chaotic and random, and we are pattern recognition machines, and we've got to make sure that we're not we're not doing magical thinking and thinking these various different things have a certain significance, when it's the fact that we think they're significant that makes them significant. So if I suddenly say, well, 1111 means something, then I'm going to notice every time I see 1111, go, oh, look, why do I always look at my phone when it's 1111? Because you think that it's significant, right? So that. It's a way of reminding myself of that every day. Urenka, thanks to Leap, I've got more comfortable with splurging, generating musical ideas, but now where I'm stalling is my fear of recording, with the pressure of creating something final. I realise I can re-record as many times as I want, but I just don't trust that I can record it good enough. I don't trust myself. So what is the 100% guaranteed way to ensure that you will never record it good enough, Irenka? What is the 100% surefire way you can be guaranteed that you will never record it good enough? By not recording it. Yeah. I mean, it not existing and also you not practicing recording is the only certain way you recording yourself will never be good enough. Isn't it? So what you are doing is you are ensuring, by following this fear of recording because you don't think it's going to be good enough, you are ensuring that the thing that you fear will happen. Yeah. So that's not really a tip, that's a fact. So what sense does that make, Irenka? Not very much. I seem to have something in my eye. Not very much, right? So the thing that I would do is, first of all, remember that. By following this fear, but it's in fact what I would say, you're not following the fear. Because I think fear is a signpost telling us what to do. Not telling us not to do it, but telling us that if you're scared of something, then that means you have to do it. And furthermore, it means you have to do it in the next, if you recognize that you're afraid of something, you have to do it as soon as possible in the next hour, in the next 10 minutes. Yeah, straight away. I'll tell you a little story, actually. I am currently working on the automatic song machine, actually with one of my clients. And she's a songwriter, one of my one-to-one clients. And it's funny because I'm coaching her, but she's basically getting me to write lyrics and sing them. So I'm currently, and it's really, really beneficial for me because in terms of singing, I've done loads of singing lessons when I was at university and school, and I sang in operas and I was a choral scholar and that, but I haven't sung for years. So I'm like, at the moment in terms of my singing ability. So one of the reasons I'm doing it is to remember what it's like not to be able to do, well, sorry, that's going to sound really arrogant, but no, one of the reasons I'm doing it is to remember what it's like to be at the start of your journey on something. Yeah, because really with singing, I'm highly untrained now. I can hardly sing. So, and one of the things is I'm having to record myself singing these kind of splurged out lyrics over these splurged out parts. And I'm experiencing exactly the same thing, Irenka. So you're not, it's not unusual, but what I've got to keep reminding myself is that by not recording myself singing these things, like vocal splurges, basically, I am ensuring that I will never be able to do it. Yeah. So, another thing that you can do, well, it depends how you want to do it. You can either brute force it, rip the band-aid off, like that, or you can do the lower the bar method, which is basically like pulling the band-aid off gradually. Yeah. I would hazard a guess, Irenka, and I don't know this for sure, but I would hazard a guess that it may well work better for you just to rip the band-aid off and say, okay, at this time of the day, make it towards the start of the day. At this time of the day, every day, I'm going to set a timer. Like, you know what a timer is. I don't know to find one, but it's quite good at being like an actual thing. Yeah, set a timer, and I'm just going to, and there's something about having a countdown in front of your face that it changes the way that you do it. Yeah. So I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes. Yeah, and I'm just going to record this vocal for 20 minutes. Not, I'm going to record this vocal until it's brilliant. Yeah, I'm going to record this vocal for 20 minutes. Yeah, and then I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to get another one open. Well, just that first. Yeah, and then just do that. Do that every day for a week on 7 different vocals. Yeah, it can either be sections of the same tune or it can be, different tunes. Yeah, and just do that and just don't listen back. Do that for a week without listening back. Yeah, and I'm almost convinced, because I don't know for sure, but if you did that for a month, if you did that every day for a month, yeah, I'm pretty sure that you will break this fear. Because one of the ways of doing the thing that you're afraid of is just to do it over and over again. Do you know the first time in fact, it's over on my Facebook page. The first time I live streamed, I procrastinated so much about live streaming that eventually the first live stream I did on Facebook, this was back in around 2016, it was just me on my phone, I pressed live stream and I went, right, I'm just doing this and it's not going to be about anything. I've been procrastinating so long about live streams, I just need to do it. So this is me just doing it, or something like that. I can't even remember, but it was something like that. It was just doing the thing. And now look at me, I can't stop. It's like, you're like, oh God, not him again. It's always on YouTube live stream. It's like, it's no longer, it's negative resistance. Yeah. I'm actually compelled to do it. Yeah. In order either to help people or entertain people or whatever it might be. It's one of my favorite things to do. So, yeah, essentially, number one, remember that by not doing the thing, you are ensuring that your biggest fear comes true. Number two, just set yourself like a habit, like 20 minutes. Or if that's too much, 10 minutes. Set yourself a timer, 10 minutes. If that's too much, 5 minutes. Every day, I'm going to record a different vocal for the next month, for 5 minutes. There's no thinking required. There's no, oh my God, is it good? It's like literally, it's like this length of time I am doing this. That's it. That's all you need to do. And I am convinced, I'm actually coaching myself here. This is what I'm going to do with my vocal tool. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to record the thing and then it will be done. I'm not even going to listen to it. I'm not going to think how good it is. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to record it, export it, and do the same thing tomorrow, and the same thing after that, the day after, and the same thing after that. Because really, right now, your goal isn't to make a great vocal. It's to get this fear thing dealt with. That is the purpose of you recording your vocal right now. Yeah. Next. So Paul says, I can recommend functional ear training. It's free. Yes, brilliant. Any other questions? Right, let's have a go. Let's have a look at some more questions on. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. I've got another 20 minutes. I'm going to stop in 20 minutes because I'm doing the Zentor thing over on the Mike Mandaley channel. Where are we? Video requests. I will make proper videos about these as well, by the way, but I'll just do them here. Gija 7Z. I would like to hear more details about your studio architecture. For example, how did you realize the routing of signals and MIDI into your Zentor setup, your DAW? And if it can change sometimes for any purpose, for example, what do you do when introducing a new hardware in the studio to find its right place? Yeah, okay, so with Zentor, I don't use a DAW exactly. I do in order to, once I'm onto the mastering and mixing stage. But I will show you the setup right now. I've got to do my old screen nightmares. I think it's this one. Yay! No, go away. There we go. So this isn't a DAW, it's a VSD host. So it's called Gig Performer. And so there's no, there's no way of actually recording notes into this. This is literally just a bunch of what are they called? Plugins, VSD plugins. Yeah. So I've got these little beauties over here. The Mother 32, the Sub Harmonicon, and the Dfam. Yep. And they're controlled by each other with the patch bay over there. And also now I've actually started controlling the Dfam a bit more with the Beat Step Pro. I didn't do that for ages, but I've started doing that now. Now I won't do that. Won't do that forever. I will change it up when I feel like I'm getting a little bit stale or bored, in order to maintain the addiction level. Because I'm really obsessed with making this, what I'm doing here, like a game that I'm always constantly addicted to. Because when you do that, number one, you encounter this thing I was talking about, which is negative resistance. You have to stop yourself rather than have to motivate yourself. And the other thing is that your progress and your learning, because you're like, it's like when you're a kind of this is a positive addiction, right? When you're addicted to something, it's almost like you focus on it in a different way. It's like you're in this, and you just get so much better, so much faster. So at the moment, the beat step is connected to the Dfam, right? So the hang on, maybe I can change the screen again to which one is it? Oh, I know. So I do so many different things on live streams that I've got so many. I haven't quite worked out the setup to be able to do everything. There we go. Like this, and then like this. Yeah. Okay, so here you can see this lead here. Is it that lead? Yeah. So this lead here, yeah, is coming out of the gate hole of sequencer 2 of the beat step and going into the advanced clock hole of the Dfam. You can't see that. Right, over here, upside down, right, but this hole here, yeah. And that basically means that whenever I press one of these buttons here, that basically means that the Dfam sequencer moves forward one step. And the Dfam sequencer is upside down, is this thing along here. These lights, you see that light there? That's the Dfam sequencer. There are 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. And you can either have the Dfam advance through this controlled by something else, yeah, or I could unplug this and it would just go. Can you see it going now? Yeah, that's going really fast, and I can turn down the tempo there. Yeah, but now if I plug that in, it will stop, and now I've got I can have the beat step working it. Now, confusingly, I have the beat step control. Everything's upside down now, but controlled by the multi-clock. Yeah, so now basically when I play this, that's connected to the beat step over here. I'm going to press play. So you can see I could go. Yeah. So I can now control the Dfam with the beat step. Yeah, and the thing that you heard playing over the top there, let's go back to this camera, was the as you can tell, last night I was experimenting with extremely fast tempos. Well, not extremely fast, right, quite fast. That was 155. I was just having a little play around with, going a lot faster. So yeah, the thing you heard playing over top was the Harmonicon, and that is separately. That it's being told to play by the multi-clock over here. Yeah, so there's a lead coming out of one of these holes here, and it's plugged into the clock hole of there, and that it's telling that to play. Now the Harmonicon also has 2 sequences in it, 2 4-step sequences for the different. There's 2 different VCOs, and they're the things that make the sound. Yeah, and you can create polyrhythms and things like that. Anyway. On top of that, the Mother 32, which is basically the hat, the very fast hat that you heard going. Mother 32 is probably the most expensive hat machine I have ever had. So basically use the Mother 32 as a hat, which is a bit ridiculous, really. I don't actually use at this point, and I will, I'm sure at some point, I don't use the sequencer in the Mother 32 at all. It's just, the reason is that it's just the way that it works. It's not very see and do. I mean, it kind of is. I'm sure you can learn how to do it like that, but I just don't use it like that. So at the moment, the beat step is also controlling the Mother 32. So that's one way of doing it. But I've only just moved to that way of doing it because before last week, or maybe it was the week before, a couple of weeks ago, actually where on was it? Yeah, the sub Harmonicon was actually telling the Dfam and the Mother 32 to play. Yeah, and the beat step wasn't doing very much of anything. The beat step was just creating a snare by me plugging it into a particular hole. Okay, so I did initially have it set up where basically these three machines were telling each other when to play and what to play, which is a really cool way of doing it. It's awesome. You get a certain type of thing. At the moment, I'm doing it a different way, just because it's fun. And the cool thing about it is eventually I'm going to be able to, on the fly, set it up differently, yeah, to do it in different ways. But I know that at this point, I've just got to focus on doing it one way for a spell, get really good at that, and then on another way for a spell and getting really good at that. I mean, one of the great things about semi-modular and modular is that there's an infinite number of ways that you can set it up. One of the terrible things about modular and semi-modular is that there are an infinite number of ways you can set it up. Both of those things are true. So what you've got to do, if you're thinking of going this route, or, going doorless or, anything like that, is you've really got to make sure that you do the least amount, that you do it the simplest way, the easiest way, with the least amount of stuff as you possibly can. Otherwise, you are going to be in a rabbit hole like you would never know. Yeah, you just wouldn't be able to. It's funny. There was somebody on the community, the Discord community, who was saying that I'm thinking of going doorless because I have ADHD and attention challenges, and there were way too many distractions. I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying, but what you want to be careful of is, I mean, in a sense, going doorless, there are more in many different ways distractions, right? Because there's just so many different ways that you could do things, and you could just end up chasing your tail forever. It can be. I mean, again, I do it like this at the moment, but that's more about me wanting to perform more than produce. So it's almost like do the thing in the moment more than sort of assemble things on a screen. It's not so much about the attention challenge. There's an entirely new set of attention challenges that you're going to have by this kind of setup. Anyway, so that is how this setup. And and also the final thing is the piano and the string. I've only got two other sounds that I use. The piano and the string are coming out of this computer through the Machina Mark III. And the reason I've got it coming out the Machina Mark III isn't for any particular reason at this point. It's just that I might want to use that in the future. So I've just got it in there. So this is just a really expensive hole. Basically, it's like, I'm just going in out this computer and through there. I wouldn't have to do that. Actually, I could just use a different audio interface. So this is really being used as an audio interface at the moment. I might consider using the looper in this actually, because I do have an actual hardware looper, but I just don't like the sound of it very much. It sounds really harsh. It's the RC505. I know loads of people use it to great effect, Mark Rebellet, but for me it's just really like, oh god, it sounds like cold steel. It's like like that. Anyway, so the live instruments, so this is actually plugged into that, so the MIDI is going to there. Yeah. So then if I come back to my setup in here, so these are really just plugins. Okay, and if we want to get really boring and technical with it, let's do it. So I've only got 8 minutes left, so I'm gonna have to make this quick. So yeah, here you can see I've got the, sorry, I was just checking the questions. So here you can see the chains that I've got going through the various different things. So this is the subharmonicon, and first I've got a tornado, which is very, and I've got that controlled by this over here. Yeah. So I'll just show you the various different effects that it can do. I need to put on my headphones. Boop. Play. What's going on? Why have I got no sound? What have I done? What have I done? What have I done? Oh, that's right. Turn it down here. Okay, so that's obviously dry, and then yeah. Yeah. We do all that kind of stuff, and what's cool about a tornado is that you can have it set up. It's called dynamic something or other. What's it called? Dynamic signal flow. So basically, what that means is that the order that you bring it in will be the order. It actually puts it in that order. Yeah, and that basically means that you've got infinite combinations. So if I go. So that's now in the order of drive, then roller, then vowel. Yeah. But let's do it in a different order. Roll. So this is reverb. Then vowel. Creates a different thing. Yeah. Because it puts them in a different order. Yeah. So you can create very, very different things with only those 8 effects. Yeah. So, and I've got one of those on the expensive hat as well, but with different settings. Yeah, and you can set all these up and change. You make your own settings as well. So that's the 2 performable effects on there. And then on the Dfam, I did used to have a tornado on the Dfam, but it was way I was too much to think about. I might actually do it again now that I'm a bit better at it. So instead, what I decided to do was use the Luperator, which is, and by the way, these effects are absolutely great. Oh god, you can't see it. You can't see me. You're just seeing the thing out. So these effects are absolutely great for how they work, but I don't like the way they sound. They're very, very digital. They sound really harsh to me. So that's the reason I've got all of this stuff afterwards. These things here, yeah. And I've really turned down the high end on the EQ in these chains here. Is in order to make, and I've got a tape thing on here. It's just in order to make it a lot less harsh and a bit warmer, if you like. Some people like that sound. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just for me, it's a bit like that. I'm old school in that way. Hang on a minute. Where are we? Camera. Here we go. So yeah, this Luperator, basically you can set. These are all effects. So there's a slice. There's various different effects in there. There's a filter, yeah, and essentially it's like this is the signal coming in from the Dfam, and then when you turn it on, when you turn it up, you can make it do different things. So I'll just play it to you so you can see. Okay. So that's just the Dfam playing on its own. It's actually playing through this. This is great, actually, this plugin. Because it's only got 5 knobs, and it just, so this is without the, that's just the Dfam on its own, and it just warms it up. Yeah. Just makes it sound nicer. Yeah. To my ears, anyway. Okay, so that's essentially, but anyway, so that's without the Luperator. So if I bring this in now, And I've got other little loop things that I've set up in here. So I'll play this one. Or yeah, so but basically you've got unlimited things that you can do, and obviously, shh, hush now, hush child. Yeah, so you've got basically unlimited things you can do, and obviously I'm setting up these little loop things in here. Okay, and the reason I did that rather than the tornado is that it means I can set things up beforehand, and all I have to do is, you might have seen the Rolly block I've got here. Where are we? Next time I do one of these, I'm going to have to set this up better. Sorry about this, guys. Okay. So this thing here, you see that? Basically, these buttons, so to speak, yeah, they basically change the watch. Yeah. So I can set them there. Yeah. So that's how I got that set up. And then basically the only other thing that's going on is, where are we? So that's what I would call the performable effects. Essentially the sugar bite stuff, the tornado. Oh yeah, I've also got this, which is another UJam thing. So the performable effects, essentially the sugar bite stuff and the UJam stuff. And I've got each of these knobs set to a knob on one of my controllers down here. Yeah. And this is the one on the Harmonicon. And essentially, you can't edit it at all, but you can just change these 5 knobs. And this is great for kind of... I'll play it to you. Hello, where are you? Oh, there we are. Okay. No. Okay, so that's dry, obviously. So remember, I've got the tornado going first, and this flux thing is coming second. Yeah, so I can go with the tornado. Yeah, so I've got all that. I love that, it's so cool. Yeah, but then I can go like this. So now this is going through 2 effects, all making it even more crazy. And then I can turn this one down behind it. So you can make it go proper mental. Mental, mate, mental! And also remember, I can do this with the Dfam. So, sorry, not the Dfam, so now I've turned up the resonance on the actual thing. So it's a veritable cornucopia of a smorgasbord of wonderful colours and crazy things, and less crazy things that you can do as well. And essentially, the Dfam is kind of similar, but this has got this retro thing on it, which is like I tend to use this tube colours. And obviously, with the flux thing, it's got various different presets, and I sometimes will change the preset. So one that makes everything sound ridiculously massive is this one, Stringgasm. And anyone who's watched any of my Zental live streams will recognise it. So I'll turn it off first. Let's turn this down. Yeah, so. Yeah. So you can kind of just make it go into space, shoot it off into space. Yeah, and then... Yeah. So, there's that. And then the only other thing that's going on really, aside from the, the change making it kind of compressed and, sound less harsh, is what I call the static effects. Yeah, which is your basic reverbs and delays. So there's an echo buoy delay here. In fact, is that the only delay? I thought there was another one. Oh yeah, here. There's the Korg SD300 delay. So on the piano. So this is the Korg. Yeah, and also I've also got that delay going to a reverb. Yeah, so that's where the reverb's coming from. I've got the supermassive Lexicon. These are both very big reverbs. This is a room reverb, and this is like a 80s, drum. What's it called? Non-linear thing. Like kind of Prince style thing. So the way I think about the static effects is that this is making things huge. Yeah, and these are making things smaller. So I'm thinking about what spaces they're actually creating, and I've got those mapped. The sends here. Mapped onto MIDI controllers, and then it basically all goes out here through a dynamic EQ, Goldfoss Live, which is a wonderful thing. This is the Make Anything Better plugin. just brilliant, and then a compressor. So that's it. That's how it works. Okay. Right, I'm going to answer a couple more questions, and I'm going to have to go and get ready for my Zental live stream. So, how to the get order in Trello when you have too many cards? Depends what order you want. I mean, in Trello, you can search things in Trello. So this is about the automatic music machine. Well, it's not actually the automatic music machine, but it's part of the automatic music machine. So in the automatic music machine, which is what the full automatic music machine, which is what I teach in the Leap, link in the description. So what I teach in the Leap is, excuse me, because we're working on so much music and finishing so much music, it gets overwhelming. So what we have is a tracking system, which is what we use Trello for. And I don't know what you mean by order exactly, Manuel. But hang on, where are we? Too many screens, Mozart. Too many screens. Scene. I'll get there in the end. Honest Gov. I'll just do this. There we go. So in Trello, you can, that's not right. In Trello, you can search here. That's not right either. Where is it? I can't remember now. Oh, yeah, it's over here. Search cards by a specific label. Yeah, I often do that. The other thing that you can do in Trello, if you've upgraded to Trello Gold, or I'm on Business, you can actually butler it, which is basically a way of ordering things here. So butler. So you can create buttons to order things in a particular way. So board buttons here. So when I click master, here we are. Order sketchbook, sort the cards and list sketchbook by time in list ascending. Yeah, so when I click that, it will reorder my sketchbook. Yeah, so that's one way of doing it as well. Yeah. The other thing is, why do you want to order it? When you say in the order, what order do you want? Because the way I really treat the automatic music machine is as long as I'm working on something that I want to work on, I'm all good. Yeah, I don't have to get it in the right order. I don't have to be working on the perfect tune. I don't have to be working on the best tune out of my sketchbook. I just have to be working on something that I want to. Because at the end of the day, I might be wrong about it being the best tune. So it doesn't matter. As long as I'm working on something I want to work on, then I don't need a correct order. Yeah. The fact that you think, I mean, I don't know, it depends on the actual question. I'm not 100% sure of what the question, but we don't need to be working on the best thing because we don't know what the best thing is. We just need to be working on something we want to work on. So Scott, tips on deciding your style genre if you appreciate lots of different types of music. Yeah, so what genre of music would you say my music is? It's not really, it's kind of, I mean, there are certain things it isn't. It's not folk, right? It's not metal. Yeah, but aside from that, in the electronic space, it's Zentor, I guess. It's the music that I make. So you don't have to, any genre is made up of, it's a category that's been created by the music that has come before it. A bunch of people have agreed that this is house music. So what I would recommend you do is you actually, made up of this number of elements, and some music has more of those elements and some music has less of those elements. Yeah, but instead of deciding on a genre based upon a pre-existing category that the world has told you is a category, how about making your own category? So you think, well, I'm going to use these elements. So for instance, for me, it's about the equipment, right? So the particular equipment I'm going to use, and I really zero it down. There's always a piano. There's always that kind of a Vangelis string. There's always these three machines. Yeah, so that's one. Instrumentation is one thing. Also, the kind of things I play, that's another element. So a lot of the stuff I do in the piano is very simple, classically influenced type stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's not very complicated, but it is, it's that kind of a thing. The way that I use effects a lot, it's very, very kind of spatial, my music as well, which then, that's a sort of another element, a way of using an element. The fact that the music that I make is long form, so it's like an hour long, and it's almost like, I don't think, where does one tune start and another tune end? That's another element that I've decided is my music. It's like kind of long form. It fulfills a particular function. Yeah, that's not to say I won't do anything else in the future, even with Zentor. Yeah, so I'm on the other live streams where I'm going through the creative process with a particular track, I'm actually making a shorter track out of it. Yeah, but really the kind of core of Zentor is this long form stuff. So that's another element. So what genre is that? What genre are all of those things together? I'm not tied to a particular tempo. I do fast stuff, I do slow stuff, I do middling stuff. Yeah. So I'm not tied to a particular tempo. So what's that? What genre is that? It's not a genre, it's a style. It's Zentor style. So, I think the question probably is an indication that you might be thinking, well, I have to do a specific genre. Make your own genre by using specific elements that you choose rather than elements that the world has chosen for you, which is what genres are. Pep, can you buy the automatic music machine separate from the Leap, or can you only do that when following the Leap? Yeah, the Leap is where I teach the automatic music machine, because in order to run it well, it requires understanding certain things about the creative process, unpicking certain elements of the creative process, certain ways that you're thinking about the creative process, which at this point anyway requires a fairly high touch level of coaching and training. Over time, as I do this more and more, over the years, I am finding quicker and quicker ways of getting people through this. So eventually, I'm talking 5-10 years in the future, my aspiration is to make the teaching of the automatic music machine less, to be able to be done less high touch. But that requires a lot of innovation and iteration on my part in terms of improving I won't say improving because it works great at the moment, but like constantly simplifying it and making it more able to be taught in a more automatic way. But at the moment, I mean, it's also partly about, a lot of the assumptions that I have. I'm coming into this market telling a lot of people, sort of saying the way that you're focusing on this and the way that you've been taught to do things, it's not helpful for your creative process. It's creating an unhealthy situation. And, the more people that learn this and the more people that maybe come into the space and start with splurging rather than starting with 5 billion tutorials, maybe then it will also be easier for me to teach people this because I won't need to, because I will have already done it. Yeah. So, but at this point, the automatic music machine is taught in the Leap because without that, it would be too difficult. You kind of wouldn't be able to operate it as it's supposed to be operated. Yeah, exactly, Irenka. Automating the teaching of the automatic music machine. Yeah. But, it takes time to make things simpler and simpler and easier and easier. So as a result, the Leap is very, very, it's kind of high touch, it's intensive, it's a lot, it's a lot of work for us to get you there, which is why it is what it is. But I can promise you, it's like, if you just go and look at the Trustpilot reviews, it's like everyone's like, it's literally the best investment. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people are like, it's literally the best investment I've made in my music career. So, Hertzrigger, being too personal sometimes is not well seen by labels, meaning they want your music to conform to a genre. Yeah, so you'd be surprised about that. I think actually, when you take this approach of having different categories, and I'm going to have to stop after this question because I've only got 15 minutes before I've got to start the Zentor stream. So when you've got different categories, and a category, what I mean by category is a genre, yeah? So a genre is just a category, yeah? A table is a category. A genre is a category, yeah? So a synthesizer is a category. And so essentially, when you've got different categories, not all things in that category are going to be in the center of that category. In other words, there are certain pieces of music that, but when you progressively remove the elements that are like the rest of the things, the archetypal things in that category, it will become less and less like house music, for instance. Yeah, but it will still be house music. And this is why people start to argue about things with those pieces of music that move away from the center of the category. Yeah. And so when you take that model in mind, if you heard the track by Burial when he did house, it was Burial doing house. It wasn't house music. It was Burial first and it was house music second. Yeah. So actually all of I've run, I don't know, I've done 15 to 20 labels in my life in various different capacities. Either being the owner or the A&R or helping out or whatever. In fact, in one of them, I was the main engineer. So and really, what most labels I know or knew are looking for is for somebody to come along and reinterpret their sound in their own way. They're not looking for exactly the same thing. Any good labels are anyway. They're not looking for the same thing that they've already got because they've already got somebody doing that. So if you've got your own style. Yeah, if you've actually got that core of your own style, you are then free to play. I mean, if, think about it, Hertzrigger. When I'm playing house, it's Zentor. It sounds like it's house, but it sounds like Zentor doing house. Yeah. When I'm doing whatever it might be, it still sounds like Zentor. So if you can get to that stage, then you're actually going to be in a much better position to release on a lot of labels, the good ones anyway. And the other thing is that, I could go, right, how would Zentor do, using one of my clients, for years, Claude Von Stroke, how would Zentor do Dirty Bird? Yeah, I could do that. And it would still sound like Zentor. Don't know whether Claude would sign it, but I could do Zentor doing Dirty Bird, even though it's very, very, Dirty Bird type music is very different from what I do now. So yeah, I would question that assumption. The other thing is, don't make your entire career based upon signing records to labels. Yeah, because then effectively you're putting the health of your career in somebody else's hands, somebody else who has, who you can't control what they do. Yeah, own the means of distribution as well as signing to labels if you want. Okay, so that was another Ask Me Anything. I'm going to, let me just check. I think tomorrow, and I meant to set it up beforehand, but I didn't have time. I'm going to do another production session. When am I going to do it? I'm going to do it tomorrow morning. So 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. I think it's tomorrow morning. Yeah, 5 a.m. tomorrow morning on this channel. I'm going to do a production session on the track we've been working on. So if you want to follow me on this journey to turning the track that I splurged out on a Zentor live stream, continue with me. Come back at 5 a.m. I'll set up the live stream after this. One of my goals today is actually to schedule out some of the things I've done. I've got terribly behind with that. So come back tomorrow and we'll be doing that. As of next week, a bunch of things are starting. The Leap class and Make Music Your Life Mastery, which is actually, that's starting this week, which is another thing that I'm doing as well. So I'll probably be doing less live streams for a while from next week, but I am going to do my absolute, we're not on Zentor, I'm doing that every day, no matter what. But on this channel, I'll probably be doing slightly less live streams than I have, but I am, really, it's really important to me that I keep helping you folks who have done, the Idea Explosion Challenge program and entered this community. So I'm going to do my absolute utmost to do at least one a week, so that I can help you, continue to help you build on that momentum that you've gained in the Idea Explosion Challenge program. So click the link in the description to find out more about the Leap. If you need to ask me any questions about that, you can always send me an email, mike@makemusiclife.com. And I'm playing Zentor in supposedly 10 minutes, but it might be more like 20 now. So click the link in the description for the after party. So that's it for now. Until tomorrow, onwards and upwards.